Harinamanand Prabhu. He has taken the first session. Just for those who have joined today, Harinamanand Prabhu is a practicing bhakti yogi for almost 20 years. He is known for his mantra meditation session. He frequently gives talks on valued audience from different nationalities through the sharing of stories from Indian scriptures and literatures. He is founder of an organization that is mainly meant to the lovers of mantra meditation. Without taking much time, Harinaman Prabhu, over to you.
Hare Krishna. Very warm welcome to all of you. I'm very happy and grateful for Academy of Vedic Sciences for organizing this beautiful session on studying Bhagavad Gita. So today we are going to begin with the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And I hope all of you are ready for the most amazing session that we're going to have today, because from today onwards, Krishna is going to speak about bhakti. So give me a moment while I share the slides. So today's chapter of Bhagavad Gita is knowledge of the Absolute. And before we begin the session, I would like to express my gratitude and offer my prayers to our teachers, our gurus, and also I want to offer my respects and gratitude to all the senior devotees and all the senior citizens who are attending this course. Om Ajnanatirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we'll just do a quick recap of the past 6 chapters that we have studied together. This is the first chapter, synopsis of the first chapter. And for those of you who are noting down the acronyms, because it's the easiest way to remember all the chapters that we are studying every day. So the acronym for the first chapter is doubt. Krishna, and the whole Bhagavad Gita begins with Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan. And eventually we see that how both the armies, they blow the conch shell, and Duryodhan, he feels the palpitation in his heart. He's afraid. He sees that there's something ominous that's going to happen. And then Arjuna requests Krishna that, can you please bring the chariot in the middle of the battlefield, because he was keen to observe and see who all are fighting against him. So Arjuna is uncertain. He's not sure what to do once he reaches and he sees everyone, all his relatives, his near and dear ones. And after he sees them, he gets bewildered. He puts forth many reasons for not wishing to fight. He gives various reasons of compassion as to why to kill so many people. He gives reasons of enjoyment as to why, what is the use of winning this war if we can't enjoy? And then he gives reasons based on saintliness and fear of sinful reactions, because of if all the men are killed, then the family traditions will be lost. And eventually, the woman will be degraded and unwanted progeny will happen. So Arjuna gets bewildered, and then ultimately the turning point is where he decides not to fight. So the acronym for first chapter is doubt. Second chapter, contents of Gita summarized, is basically Krishna giving the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita in a summarized fashion. He speaks about Sankhya philosophy, he speaks about Karma Kand, he speaks about Buddhi Yoga and Nishkama Karma Yoga, and he speaks about what are the qualities or symptoms of a self-realized soul. The acronym for second chapter is Gita. G stands for Guru. As we all know, Arjuna surrenders to Krishna, accepts Krishna as a Guru, and asks him to guide him. The acronym I is identity, where Krishna shares that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. Then Krishna explains the two duties, Swadharma and Sanatan Dharma. One has to do their responsibilities based on the situation that they are in. And also, one should be focused on practicing Sanatan Dharma also, their daily sadhana. And ultimately, Krishna shares the qualities of a self-realized souls and how one can be Atmaram. Chapter 3, Krishna begins the chapter where he shares that how one can follow or the path of yoga. So in the previous chapter, he speaks about Sankhya Yoga, he speaks about the analytical study of the soul. And now he speaks about Karma Yoga, that how one can use their action in Krishna consciousness. So Krishna speaks about how one can work without self-motivation, follow the teachings faithfully, without envy, free from lethargy, free from bondage, and ultimately attain perfection. But there is this enemy, that is lust. Because the senses, mind and intelligence are covered with sense enjoyment. So Krishna explains to Arjuna that by regulating senses, performance of duties with detachment, and steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, one can control lust. So the acronym for third chapter is TREE. T for Tyaga, renunciation, where Arjuna expresses his thoughts on how he should retire. But Krishna shares the different rungs or rungs of ladder, these different levels of how one can approach or attain the Lord. Then he also explains that how one should act in an exemplary fashion. Whatever a great man does, common man follow. And then he speaks about enemy of the soul. So TREE is the acronym. The fourth chapter, Krishna speaks after sharing Karma Yoga to Arjuna. The natural question would be, by doing action, we are offering the fruits of the action, the results of the action to the Supreme Lord. But it would be nice to know the Supreme Lord, to know him in person, to know what does he do. Where does he live? So that is the transcendental knowledge which Krishna gives. And Krishna gives this knowledge based on the guru-disciple relationship. So that is the main point which comes out of this chapter also, that one should take the shelter of a guru, of a teacher, to understand spiritual life, to progress in the path of spiritual life. So the acronym here, his years, E stands for eternal education. Krishna explains that don't think that this knowledge is, I'm giving this knowledge for the first time to you. I've given this knowledge long, long back to the sun god, Vivaswan. And because this knowledge is eternal, it is accurate. One can understand this knowledge accurately. And because this knowledge is accurate, it has the power to remove reactions to all our sins, all our past misdeeds. And then ultimately Krishna explains the concept of sacrifice, of yajna. The fifth chapter, as Srila Prabhu yesterday explained beautifully, the acronym is STEP, stay in this world, but of course not of this world. There are three doers, Ishvara, Jiva, and Prakriti. And then how one should develop the qualities of a self-realized soul. What are the qualities of self-realized soul? Where he sees everyone with equal vision. A Brahmana, Gavi, Hastini, an elephant, a dog eater. Everyone with equal vision. And finally, Krishna gives the peace formula. Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. Yeah. The sixth chapter, Lord Krishna, after explaining the jnana, he now moves on to dhyana yoga, that is Ashtanga yoga. So where he explains that advancing in yoga through detached work, and also he explains that how one should control their mind. So the acronym here is EASY, which is actually, many people find it very difficult to control the mind. So the E stands for enemy or friend. The mind can become your friend or your greatest enemy. If you control your mind, then it can become your friend. But if you don't control your mind, then it becomes your greatest enemy. Then Krishna explains Ashtanga Yoga, the path of Ashtanga Yoga. Then how, if someone fails to progress in their spiritual journey, or someone has a break in their spiritual journey, Arjuna asks this question. So that is success and failure. And then finally, Krishna explains that who is the best yogi? Because Krishna just explained the Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. And then finally, Krishna explains that the best of yogi is that person who surrenders unto me. So with that, the sixth chapter ends. As we understood in the past 6 chapters, Krishna primarily explains the whole concept of Karma Yoga. And of course, some part of Jnana and Ashtanga is also there. From today onwards, from chapter 7 to 12, we will be covering the Bhakti Yoga aspect of Bhagavad Gita. From chapter 13 to 18, it is Jnana Yoga. So if you see, what we are going to begin from today is the most important aspect of the whole Bhagavad Gita. All the previous acharyas, the previous teachers, the gurus, they have explained that bhakti is an open secret. Yeah? And that's why it has been hidden in between the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah? It is surrounded by Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga on both sides. So as we all know, generally we do not disclose anything which is secret until we become very, very close and intimate to someone. Only then the person shares the secret. So similarly, Krishna also shares bhakti once one understands the aspect of yoga. Just like how a king is always surrounded with his army, so that he is protected and also at the same time he is the strongest. Yeah? I once heard a beautiful example that whenever we go out to eat a sandwich, right? So usually the sandwich is covered with bread on both the sides. But the sandwich is recognized by the content which is there in between. Yeah. So sandwich has no value unless until you say what is the name of that sandwich. So if someone likes cheese sandwich, so there is a content, the cheese. So the sandwich becomes famous because of the content. So similarly, the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is so famous around the world because of the content, and that content is the bhakti which is in between the chapter 7 to 12 of Bhagavad Gita. So with this, we'll begin the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The acronym for this chapter is HEAD, where H stands for hearing, which is covered from text 7, first verse to third verse of 7th chapter, where Krishna shares Arjuna that, look, now you hear from me. Yeah. Where the next verse is he explains that how he is the source of everything. He is everywhere. Yeah. E stands for everywhere. Krishna is present everywhere around us. And we'll try to understand what he exactly means by that. The acronym A, Krishna again shares that although he's everywhere, there are 4 kinds of people who accept him, and then there are people who reject him also. And the acronym D stands for Devatas or demigods. So Krishna explains that how people with less intelligence, they end up surrendering themselves, favoring more towards Devatas or demigods. And also there are people who misunderstand me. They think that I'm impersonal. Right? And because of lack of knowledge, they are bewildered. So let's go ahead with reading the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This is the first verse of Gita of 7th chapter. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Sakta Mana Partha Yogam Yusjan Madashrayah Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Jyasyasi Tatshrunu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. So in this beautiful verse, Krishna explains that how one can know him. We all want to know who is the Supreme Lord? What are his energies? Right? How is he able to perform so many amazing responsibilities? How is he able to handle this whole universe? Right? So many doubts we have. Right? So Krishna now tells Arjuna, now hear. And it is explained in this verse that how to understand Lord Krishna, we have to know that he is not an ordinary personality. He is the absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead. And one can understand the Supreme Lord by knowing his impersonal feature, that is Brahman. But that feature is very partial realization of the Supreme. It is just like understanding the light of the sun, the sunshine. But someone who is little bit more intelligent, he will realize that actually the sunlight is coming from the sun planet. Yeah? So that is the Paramatma feature of the Lord, the localized Paramatma feature, which is there in everyone's heart. But one who is more intelligent, one who has more knowledge, will realize or understand that actually within the sun planet, there is sun god from whom this entire light is emanating. Yeah? So similarly, the living entity, the spirit soul, tries to understand the Supreme Lord with various processes, various paths of yoga to elevate himself through self-realization, through Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga mainly makes you reach to Brahman platform. Ashtanga Yoga makes you realize the Lord within your heart, that is the Paramatma feature. But both of this is partial realization. So Krishna in this chapter explains that how through bhakti, right? Krishna ended this previous chapter that the topmost yogi is one who knows me. Yeah. So now he's explaining that who is he, Bhagavan. So one should concentrate and focus his mind on Krishna. And when he focuses his mind on Krishna, when one renders devotional service, and by constantly hearing about the Lord, Shravanam, importantly, his heart gets purified. And devotee develops transcendental knowledge in the association of devotees. And eventually he becomes fixed in his seva, in the devotional service. And because he becomes fixed in devotional service, he is freed from all the modes of passion, ignorance, lust, and greed. So all the impurities that he has in his heart are cleaned, are wiped out. And eventually he is situated in pure goodness. He is in Sattva Gun. He sees everyone with equal vision. And he becomes enlivened in devotional service, understands the science of Krishna perfectly, and eventually he gains complete knowledge of the absolute truth. Later on, we'll see how Krishna says that the perfect person is one who knows him, the Jnani. So this is the 9th process of devotional service where Prabhupada explains very beautifully that how just by hearing, chanting or glorifying, remembering, serving Lord's lotus feet, deity worship, praying, becoming a servant, and friendship and complete surrender, how one can render devotional service with full faith and love. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, and Atmanivedanam. And all these beautiful 9 processes of devotional service, there were exemplary devotees who showed by their own example, like Parikshit Maharaj, who heard Srimad Bhagavatam with complete attention. Sukdev Goswami, who was glorifying the Lord by narrating the pastimes of the Lord in Srimad Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj, who was constantly remembering the Lord and praying to the Lord, and that's how he was saved from so many calamities. In fact, he was so conscious of the presence of the Lord within his heart that when he was pushed from the mountain by Hiranyakashipu's servants, he immediately held his heart. And the Acharyas mentioned, why did he held his heart? He should have, tried to protect his body, everything. But he was so conscious that the Lord is situated in my heart. And that's why I want to take care of him. And when he was pushed from the mountain, still nothing happened to him. So that was his consciousness. Lakshmi Devi, as we all know, is always serving the Lord, Pada Sevanam, his lotus feet. Prithu Maharaj was so beautifully worshipping the Supreme Lord. Akrura, his consciousness was so pure that he was constantly praying to the Lord. And as we all know, the beautiful example of Hanumanji serving Lord Ram with so much love and devotion. And when it comes to friendship, Arjuna was one of the best examples of friendship, complete faith and surrender unto the Lord. And Bali Maharaj is Atma Nivedanam, where he completely surrenders, he gives up everything. So these are the beautiful 9 processes of devotional service. And I must say that one who takes up Krishna consciousness, one who takes up Bhakti Yoga, they will never be bored, because you have such amazing activities to participate. We don't think of how to spend our time on weekends, right? Most of us, all the people, all the devotees who are practicing bhakti, they always find it difficult to find out how to get bored. They find it so easy to come across so many wonderful devotees and service opportunities, to hear wonderful lectures and constantly engage their body, their mind and soul every weekend. And not only weekend, even during the weekdays, as we are all doing it today. So in the second verse, actually, Krishna shares that I shall now declare unto you this full knowledge. So he's going to share the full knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. There's no further knowledge that is required. So let's see what Krishna is sharing. And in verse 3, Krishna also explains that Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tatvatah. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So it's not that everyone can know the Supreme Lord. Just like there were so many registrations that happened. But out of those registrations, we have some of them who are attending the course regularly every day. So similarly, Krishna also explains this. So we understand that how there are different grades of men. There are people who are interested in animalistic way of living. Ahara nidra bhayamaithunam cha samanyametat pashubhi naranam dharmo hitesho adhiko vishesho dharma nahina pashubhi naranam. So in Mahabharata, there is this verse where it is explained that eating, sleeping, mating and defending are the activities of animals and humans alike. But what is the prime importance that humans should do? Dharmo hitesho adhiko vishesho. They should endeavor, they should inquire what is the purpose of my human birth. What should I do with my intelligence? If they don't inquire about the absolute truth, about the Supreme Lord, about the soul, about all the miseries that we face, birth, old age, disease, death, how do I come out of this cycle of birth and death? Then they are as good as animals. So Krishna, who is the cause of all causes, he possesses all the 6 opulences in full, can be known only by the process of Krishna consciousness, by engaging in devotional service. And that's why the previous slide where we learned that how one should engage themselves in this 9 process of devotional service. The process of bhakti is not easy to practice as proclaimed by impersonalists. Rather, it is very easy actually to practice if you are in association of devotees. And that is one of the important lessons that we are learning from this chapter as well. So even in the Vedic literature, the Upanishads, Puranas, and Narad Pancharatras, many times we see so many other mentions about dhyana, about analytical study, Sankhya Yoga. Yeah. So many times people get entangled with those activities. But Krishna is giving here in Bhagavad Gita that just try to render devotional service and you will get all the knowledge that is required to progress in your spiritual path and come back to me. Yoga, the word yoga means to reunite, to relink, to rejoin with the Supreme Lord. Yeah? So first Krishna explains how by doing action you can join me, karma yoga. How by knowing about me you can come to me, jnana yoga. How by practicing the path of strictness, of controlling your mind and senses, you can come to me. And finally, Krishna says bhakti is the easiest, because all three of them you will be attacked, it will be very difficult for you to progress. But by rendering this 9 process of devotional service, it will be very easy to come back to me. And that's what Krishna is going to explain in this chapter. In text 4, Krishna explains that how the earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego, all together, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. Krishna is explaining his magnanimity. He is explaining how he has created this whole universe. He explains, in the purport, it is explained that how Krishna's plenary expansions are the 3 Vishnus, the Purusha avatars, the Mahavishnu, which is Karnodakshay Vishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and Shirodakshay Vishnu. So through them, this whole material world is created. Yeah? And in this material creation, there are, which is temporary, there are the material elements, which is the gross element and the subtle elements. So like our own body is made of 5 gross elements, that is earth, water, fire, air, ether. When you analyze this 5 elements, you will realize that how these 5 elements, they can be perceived through form, taste, touch, sound, and smell. Yeah? These are the objects of senses, and how these objects of senses are perceived through eyes, tongue, skin, ear, and nose. So these are the 15 elements, and then there is 5 of working senses, karmendriyas, that is our hands, our legs, our mouth to talk or eat or voice, then our anus to remove unwanted things, and genitals to procreate. So these are the 20 elements that are there, and then there are 3 elements, that is mind, intelligence, and ego, which are very, very subtle. Yeah? Subtler than mind is intelligence, subtler than intelligence is false ego. So these are the 23 elements, and the 24th element is pradhana. Pradhana is the presence of the 3 modes of material nature. So Krishna explains that all of this is my separated energy. Yeah? But except for one, that is the soul. Yeah. So we'll understand that. So in verse 5th and 6th, Krishna explains that besides this, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mine, which comprises the living entity. That is all of us. All of us are actually Krishna's part and parcel, which is superior than the material elements, as we discussed in the previous slide. Yeah. So, Krishna explains all created beings have their source in these two natures of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world. Know for certain that I am both the origin and dissolution. So Krishna is the origin of everything, including the spiritual elements and the material elements also. Yeah? He's the origin and he is the one who has the power to dissolve everything. Yeah? The next verse is one of the most important verses. If we can all understand this verse perfectly with full faith, then you have understood the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. Mata partaram nanyat kinchid asti dhananjaya mai sarvam idam protam sutre mani ganaiva. O conqueror of wealth, Dhananjaya, that is Arjuna's name, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. We all see these beautiful necklaces or even garland. We see beautiful garland around the neck. Yeah. But what we don't see is that the thread that is holding all the flowers together in a beautiful way. What we don't see is that the string that is holding all the beautiful pearls together. Yeah. So similarly, Krishna explains that he is behind everything that exists in this world. Right? So this is the beautiful verse which Krishna explains, and then he gives proof. He explains that how he is behind everything. He explains, O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water. Rasoham apsu kaunteya. Prabhasmi sashi suryayo. Yeah, he explains that I am the taste in water. Many of us, we don't even realize that how there is the amazing taste. I remember a few years back when I went for a desert camping, we were walking in the desert. In the evening, not even in daytime, we were just walking, and then we were so parched, we were so thirsty. And then as soon as we got water, we drank the water, and believe me, the taste that we experienced is much more better than any kind of juice that you would drink. Yeah, so Krishna explains the subtle elements of this creation through which you can experience the presence of the Lord. So Krishna explains, I'm the taste in water. I'm the light of sun and moon. You know, we get this sunlight and moonlight. Yeah, the sunlight gives you the health, and the moonlight gives you the energy. Yeah, I am the syllable Om of the Vedic mantras. Nothing in this world, all auspicious activities begin only when you chant the syllable Om. Om Tat Sat. Yeah? Even the Pandits whom you invite at your home, he will start his puja only by chanting Om Keshwaya Namah, Om Madhvaya Namah, Om Narayana Namah. Yeah? So he will begin with Om. And Krishna says, I am that syllable Om. He says, I am the sound of ether. And I am the ability of man. Imagine, all of us, we are able to perform so many humongous tasks. But what is the source of that task? It is the spirit soul. The moment the soul leaves, the body will fall down. Krishna says, I am the source of everything. Yeah? In text 9, again Krishna explains that how I am the original fragrance of the earth. Yeah. Many times we don't realize. I mean, truly speaking, in Dubai, I have not experienced the real fragrance of Mother Earth. But if you go to India and the first rain, if you experience, I'm sure most of you might have experienced this. The first rain, the fragrance that comes from Mother Earth, it cannot be compared with any perfumes that is available in Dubai Mall. Yeah, or any Ajmal perfume or any perfume industry or French perfume. Yeah, the fragrance of earth, Krishna says, I am that fragrance. And the word punya is referred to uncontaminated original flavor which permeates everything. Punya also means that which is not decomposed or that which is original. So that original fragrance comes from earth. And why does he mention this particularly? Because everything that you get from this, that you smell or you experience the fragrance, comes from earth. Right? I was just watching a documentary of how this oud, which is the world's most expensive fragrance, made. This oud is made from a tree, the bark of a tree. And there is one bacteria which infects that tree, and eventually it creates that fragrance. But how is that tree getting that fragrance? From Mother Earth, from the roots which are going deep in Mother Earth. So the origin of fragrance is Mother Earth. So Krishna explains that I am the fragrance of earth. Krishna explains that I am the heat of fire. We all need fire. Whether it is fire outside in terms of light, we need fire also within our body. Yeah? Vibha Vasau, fire which is there in the form of whether it is factories or cooking or even digestive fire. Yeah? Many times we experience indigestion. It is mainly due to low amount of fire. The fire in our body is very weak, Ayurveda says. Yeah? Krishna also explains that I am life of all living beings. And which means that the duration of man's life is also by the blessings of the Lord. One can prolong or diminish by Krishna's grace. And finally, Krishna says, I am the penance of ascetics. All the yogis who are doing so much tapasya, so much of austerities, all that power, where do they come? Where do they derive that from? Krishna says, I am the source of it. In text 10 and 11, Krishna explains some more amazing facts. He says, O son of Pritha, know that I am the original seed of everything that exists, the intelligence of the intelligent and the prowess of all powerful men. Yeah. There are so many millions and billions of living entities which are living around us. Yeah. And Krishna says, I am that seed in everything that exists in this world, all the living beings. Yeah. He is there. He is present in everyone's heart as super soul, as Paramatma. Yeah. Then Krishna says that I am the intelligence of the intelligent. Yeah. So many people think they are so intelligent, but who can be more intelligent than the Supreme Lord? One may want to cheat others, thinking that, oh, I'm more intelligent, I will cheat this person. But Krishna knows how to take away everything from that cheater. Yeah? In due course of time, everything is taken away by the Lord. Krishna also shares this is the power of the all-powerful men. Prowess of all powerful men. Many years back, I used to go to the gym in India, Mumbai, and my trainer was completely powerful with so much muscles and He had so much of strength. But then one fine day he stopped coming to the gym. And I was inquiring what happened to that trainer. And then one of the other trainers said he died. I said, how come he was so young and he was so energetic, he was so built and everything? He said, he died because he had a mosquito bite. Through malaria, he passed away. And I was shocked. It was just a small mosquito took away his life. He was so huge and was so much powerful. So everything, Krishna is the cause of all causes. Yeah. Krishna speaks. He is the strength of strong. And also in 11th verse, Krishna speaks that I am sex life, which is not contrary to religious principle. Yeah. So if it is regulated sex life, Krishna says, I am that enjoyment also. So he's not shy to share this fact also, which is natural for all living beings to engage themselves. Yeah. So Krishna explains what is regulated sex life, that is having sex for propagating Krishna conscious children. Yeah. For training the kids so that they become nice devotees, nice bhaktas of the Lord. In text 12, Krishna explains that although I have created everything, yeah, all the elements, everything that exists in the world, I am also the origin of the three modes. Yeah? And therefore, he explains that deluded by three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. So Krishna is the creator of the three modes, but he is not affected by it. Yeah? And because all of them are influenced by these three modes, yeah, we are not able to understand. Yeah. So many people, they think that the Supreme Lord, the word Nirguna means that he doesn't have any qualities, he is without any form. But here the Nirguna means that he is not affected by these three modes. Guna means qualities. Guna also means ropes. Yeah, we'll understand that. So the next section, the three modes, Krishna explains text 13 to 14, where he says that deluded by three modes, no one knows Krishna, who is above the modes and is inexhaustible. And those who surrender to Krishna, the controller of the modes, will cross beyond the modes to know him. So we will see that how Krishna explains how to get free from these modes. We are all affected by various temptations of life. So this is another life lesson which we can learn. Many times we get tempted to enjoy. And what is the source? What is the reason why we get tempted? We get tempted because we get influenced by the three modes of material nature. Yeah, and these three modes are like ropes which bind us. Yeah. So Krishna explains, Daiviyesha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratya. Krishna explains that this material energy is called, so because of divine connection and movement by the divine will. Yeah. And it is said that every living being is controlled by these three modes. And how to get rid of these three modes, how to not get influenced by these three modes, Krishna explains that if one just surrenders unto me, with love and devotion, if you just call out to the Lord that, Lord, I am yours, please help me, please protect me, please guide me in my journey. Yeah? And Krishna will take care. Krishna will guide you to the right teacher. Krishna will guide you to the right association through which you can progress in your spiritual life. In the next section, we will see how Krishna beautifully shares that what kind of people actually accept this knowledge. Yeah, because not many are going to believe, oh, okay, he's Krishna is probably boasting that he is the source of everything and he's in everywhere and everything. So here Krishna explains that Arjuna, don't think that everyone is going to accept it. Yeah. So there will be people who will be mudhas. Mudhas means foolish, donkey-like men, always working hard, not thinking about what is the goal of life. Naradhamas, lowest of mankind, completely, in the mode of ignorance. Maya Pratagyanas, those whose intelligence is controlled by illusion, and Asuras, people who are atheistic, who don't have any inclination to surrender to the Lord. And then Krishna explains the four kinds of pious men who surrender to Krishna: the distressed, the seeker of wealth, the curious, and the jnani. Although all four of these are great souls, Krishna explains that the jnani is the best because he engages in devotional service. Yeah. And for such a jnani, after many births, has acquired knowledge of Krishna's position as the cause of all causes and has thus surrendered. So let us all become jnanis. Let us all understand Krishna for who he really is. And that's what this chapter is explaining. Yeah. So, because Krishna also says that such people are very rare. Probably 900,000 people might have registered. Out of that, maybe 400 or 500 people are actually attending the class, but very few will really take this knowledge to their heart. Yeah, very few will use their intelligence to know Krishna completely through this knowledge. Yeah. So, text 15, Krishna explains those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, who partake atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. Dushkritinas. Yeah. So these are the four kinds of people which Krishna explains who do not surrender to the Lord. Then Krishna explains that Sukritinas. There are pious people who also surrender to the Lord. Krishna explains Artha, Artharthi, Jignasu, and Jnani. Artha, one who is distressed, one who is so frustrated with the problems of material life, finally he says, Bhagwan, kuch karo. Krishna, please help me. So they take shelter of the Lord. There are people who say, yaar, kuch, thoda paisa ho jaye life mein, I need some money here and there. So they go to the Lord, Krishna, please, I'll break one coconut for you. Please give me some wealth. Yeah, so there are people who approach the Lord for seeking wealth. And there are people who are inquisitive. Oh, I want to know, who is Krishna? What are his pastimes? Why did he take birth and what is the purpose of my life? So there are people who are jignasu, they are inquisitive, they are curious, they want to know. And finally, jnanis, one who desires knowledge of the Absolute, one who really wants to know who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are so many gods that people worship here and there, but I don't really know actually that who is the source of everything, who is the cause of all causes. Yeah? So those are jnanis. In text 17, Krishna explains of this, the one who is in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best. Yeah? So a jnani, not just jnani superficially, not just by knowing, not just that I complete this Bhagavad Gita course and I have become jnani. No. It means that one should become jnani and then the result of the jnani should be to engage in devotional service. Yeah? Engage in pure devotional service towards the Lord. And when one is in pure knowledge of the transcendental service of the Lord, all the material contamination cannot affect him. The three modes of material nature will not affect him. Yeah? In text 18, Krishna glorifies these devotees. he explains that all these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls. All these devotees, who are these devotees? Who have surrendered, who are rendering devotional service. Yeah. But he who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self. So those devotees who are in full knowledge of me, I consider him to be just like me. I don't consider him to be a lower species of mankind. I consider him just like me. Yeah. So being engaged in my transcendental service, he is sure to attain me. He gives that assurance that because he is constantly engaged in my service, he will definitely come back to me, back in the spiritual world. Yeah. And that is the highest and most perfect goal of life. Yeah. So devotees of Krishna, they are always engaged in the service of the Lord. Whenever even they go out, they think of the Supreme Lord. They think of what service I can do. They do their normal day-to-day jobs. The mother may cook food, may take care of the kids, may do her daily chores. A husband, a man, or both of them may go to work and do their duties and responsibilities in their office. But their heart and mind are always thinking of the Supreme Lord. Yeah. And with that consciousness, they are engaged in the service of the Lord and their normal duties also. And that's why Krishna says that they are the best. Yeah. This is another very important verse, which is text 19, that is Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavamam Prapadyante Vasudeva Sarvam Iti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. After many, many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders to me. Knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is, such a great soul is very rare. This is very, very important verse for all of us to understand and know. Imagine Krishna is having a private conversation with Arjuna. And that conversation is being telecasted by Sanjaya to Dhritarashtra. So in that private conversation with Arjuna, Krishna is sharing the secret that after many births and deaths, one surrenders to the Lord, and out of those many people who surrender to the Lord, very few, they know the Lord in actuality, in truth. Yeah. So let us all take this benefit of understanding Bhagavad Gita for the rest of the chapters that are remaining. Let us try and understand the Supreme Lord, the knowledge that He is giving, and let us try and understand this knowledge and surrender unto Him and render devotional service unto Him. Yeah. So text 19, Krishna explains that how bhakti, this devotional service, is very rare. And one should know that spiritual life is full of activities which are eternal and blissful. I mentioned about this in the 9th process of devotional service. And it is not just impersonalism or voidism, just meditate on some light or something which is we don't know. But here you can focus on the beautiful form, Archa Vigraha of the Lord. Yeah. So one should realize fully, completely the knowledge which is given. And that knowledge ultimately, after when you gain that knowledge, you should be able to surrender to the Supreme Lord. Yeah. And when you surrender to the Supreme Lord, the natural process would be to render devotional service. So understanding the Lord as the cause of all causes, and thus realizing the universal vision of Vasudeva. Yeah. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate goal of spiritual realization. Therefore, one should surrender. It is mentioned in so many Upanishads also. Yeah. In the beginning stage, when trying to give up attachment to materialism, there is some leaning towards impersonalism. But in advanced stage, one understands that there are activities in spiritual life. Yeah, one can develop relationship with the Lord, yeah, in Shantaras, Dasyaras, Sakhyaras, Vatsalyaras, and Madhuryaras. Yeah? With, one can express their love towards the Lord in a very humble, timid way. One can express the love towards the Lord in the mood of a servant of the servant. One can express the mood and love the Lord and express your love to Him in the mood of a friend. One can express the love towards the Lord in the mood of a parent. There are so many devotees who take care of Laddu Gopal in a very parental mood. Yeah? And finally, one can express their love towards the Lord in the mood of the topmost devotees of the Lord, that is the gopis of Vrindavan, who surrendered to the Lord completely. Yeah? In the mood of servant of the servant with conjugal love. Yeah? In the next section, Krishna now explains, this is the last section where Krishna explains that how there are people, even though they have been given this human form of life which is used, which has higher intelligence, yeah, which has discriminating power, which is reasoning power, with all this wealth that they have of knowledge, they somehow, because of inclination towards material desires, they end up surrendering to devatas, different devatas, yeah, Devi and devatas. So Krishna explains that those whose intelligence is illusion, they don't realize that who is the source of everything. Yeah, what is the purpose? Why are these Devis and devatas? What are the purpose of their activities that they are doing? Yeah. And they end up surrendering to them because they want their material desires to be fulfilled. Yeah, they want temporary rewards. They want to gain something from them. So that's why many people, they do that. I'm not saying everyone, but many people, they have their own motives as to why to worship this particular god or goddess. Because if I do this, give me this. If I do this, she will protect me. If I do this, he will protect me. Yeah, or he will give me this. So Krishna explains that how these are people who are with less intelligence or illusion. Yeah. Sorry, these are people who are illusioned, and then there are impersonalists who are less intelligent. They think that Krishna is impersonal. Ultimately, it is just the light. Ultimately, Krishna doesn't have a form. It is just the energy of God. No, but one who tries to see further, just like the example that is given of the sunlight, the sun planet, and the sun god. Yeah? So one should not just think that the sunlight is the source of everything. A little bit intelligence, you go to your balcony and you'll see, oh yeah, the sunlight is coming because of the sun planet. Yeah? And with further inquiry and further right kind of association, one can understand that it is the sun god from whom all this light is coming. Yeah? So similarly, Krishna explains how there are these different kinds of people. So in text 20, Krishna says, those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigod or devatas and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own nature. So there are people who surrender to different devatas. They worship these gods and goddesses because they want their desires to be fulfilled. Yeah? So it is said that they are illusion, they are less intelligent. They have lost the spiritual sense. They have desires. They want immediate fulfillment. That I want this. If I break 2 nariyal, 2 coconuts, I want this to happen. I will offer a blouse to this Devi, and in return of the blouse, you give me a house. Yeah, that is the mood. Many people go like that to different demigod temples. They offer one blouse, kumkum, this, that, and then in return they want a house. For 200 rupees blouse piece, they want 20 lakh worth, or sorry, 2 crore worth house. Yeah, so this is the exchange that many people do with Devis and Devatas, and they think that this is the purpose of life. But what they do is, all these desires, what they have, ultimately they are temporary. They don't realize. And why do they have these desires? Because of less intelligence, the lack of knowledge, and because they are affected by the mode of ignorance and passion. Yeah. And their motivation, they are motivated by small desires and do not know how to realize supreme goal. Their satisfaction is satisfied by the rules and regulations of their worship. Yeah, they are satisfied. Okay, every day I will do this, every day I'll do this, I will pour some water here, I will do some this, I'll offer some coconut. That is my daily ritual. That's it. I will offer some agarbatti, that's it. But they don't realize what is the purpose behind all these rituals. Yeah, how to understand the Supreme Lord. Where is it written that who is the source of all the offerings that we give? How does this Devi or Devata get their power to give me the benediction or take away my problems? They think that demigods are better for certain purpose as per their study of Vedas. So they refer to Vedas only to fulfill dharma, artha, kama. They forget about moksha. They forget about liberating themselves from this birth, old age, disease, death. Yeah. So, but on the other hand, the devotees of the Lord, they are always engaged in devotional service. They think of the Lord. They are one who are freed from material contamination. And that's why for whatever they want, they ask the Supreme Lord only. Even if they have some material desires, it's better to ask the Supreme Lord. Yeah. In the next verse, Krishna explains that how he's such an amazing neutral person. Believe me, when I read this verse, I said, wow, he's such an amazing neutral person. He says, I'm in everyone's heart. Yeah, Krishna as Paramatma, he is there in everyone's heart as Super Soul. As soon as one desires to worship a particular Devi or Devata, a particular demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. See how amazing the Supreme Lord is sharing this knowledge with Arjuna. He's saying that it's not that I don't want that, no, with force, you should follow me, surrender to me only. No, he says if someone desires to worship someone else, I, in their heart, allow him. I make his faith steady. Okay, you want to worship him? Go ahead. Continue. Yeah. So the Lord facilitates that person to worship the demigod because he wants to give the independence. He wants the person to not surrender unto him with force, but to surrender unto him with knowledge and with love. Yeah. So, Krishna, in the next verse, explains that Krishna bestows benefits through the demigods to the living entity. Krishna says that actually, I am the one who is giving this energy or the power to the demigods, to the Devis and Devatas, to benedict their devotees. So even the worshippers of Devis and Devatas, they don't realize that actually everything is coming from the Supreme Lord, who is the source of everything that exists. And Lord Brahma himself proclaims it. He says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Sarva Karana Karanam. He is the cause of all causes. Parama Krishna. Yeah. So Krishna explains that, and this is confidential knowledge which Krishna is sharing with Arjuna. Yeah. In the next verse, Krishna explains that how men of small intelligence worship the demigod, and their fruits are limited and temporary. As we discussed earlier, whatever they earn, whatever they get from these demigods, everything is perishable. Yeah, everything is temporary. At the end of life, it's gone. You gave a blouse, you got a house, that's it. At the end of life, it's zero. But if you surrender to the Lord, if you chant His holy names, if you hear His glories, if you render devotional service unto Him, then that, whatever you have done, is protected by the Lord, either to carry on in the next life or within this life itself, you go back home, back to Godhead, never to take birth again in this material world. So Krishna explains that. And then Krishna shares that how there are impersonalists, unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly, think that I, the Supreme Lord, was impersonal before and have now become personal in this form as Krishna. And due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. So in this verse, Krishna very clearly refutes the arguments of impersonalists, Mayavadis, Advaitavadis, that the Supreme Lord is impersonal. He doesn't have a form. In this verse, Krishna clearly tells that these are unintelligent people who misunderstand me. Just because they see the sunlight, they think that sunlight is everything. No. So, one should understand that how Krishna is the source of everything. Krishna's form and pastimes are temporary manifestations of Brahman in contact with matter. That's what the Mayavadis think. But what Krishna explains, that he is imperishable and supreme, he is unborn and infallible, and he is the one who knows the past, present, and future, which we'll study now in this next few slides. So text 24, as I explained earlier, Krishna is explaining that how these impersonalists, they try to understand the Lord as an impersonal feature, whereas Krishna is, in fact, as a person who incarnates. In the next text, Krishna says that I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. So, because these people, they have their false ego, they are overly attached to this material world in terms of their desires to be fulfilled, and that's why they never understand that who is the source. They refuse to understand the knowledge. But one who uses even little bit of intelligence, they will realize that how the Supreme Lord is the source of everything that exists in this world, and there is a person who is the creator, who is the maintainer and destroyer of everything. And it is explained that how the Yoga Maya covers everything, puts the curtain of Brahma Jyoti, which is covering of the internal potency. Therefore, the impersonalists cannot see him. So it is the Lord's energy through which he covers everything in this universe. In text 26, Krishna refutes the point of how his form is not material. So Krishna refutes Krishna's form is material. So Krishna explains that how his form is spiritual. Sorry for the confusion here. So how Krishna's form is material or spiritual, one can know because Krishna says that I am fully cognizant of the past, present, and future. Whereas no one in this material creation can know what happened in their previous birth. Yeah. Forget about previous birth. We don't even know what I did 2 days back. It takes some time for me to remember, oh, what did I do 3 days back? What was I doing at this time, at this hour? You know? And the next verse, Krishna explains that how one is bewildered by dualities arising from hatred and desire. Ichha, dvesha. Yeah. Because of desire to enjoy this material world and because of envy and hatred, we are bewildered by the dualities of this world. We forget the the real true position of the Supreme Lord. Yeah, because we had a desire to enjoy separately from the Lord, we are put into the delusion of Maya. Yeah, we are separated from the Supreme Lord. And what are the symptoms of such delusion? We want to become one with the Lord. Yeah, some people, they think that the purpose of life is to merge into the Supreme Lord or merge into the light. Yeah, we have envy towards the Lord. We say, why Krishna is supreme? Why he proclaims like this? Why this God is supreme? So every scripture they say this scripture, this God is supreme. This scripture, this God is supreme. But if you understand, if you read the scriptures properly, if you understand and associate with devotees of the Lord, then you will realize that actually, practically all the scriptures, they direct the living entity towards Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. Yeah? The Supreme Lord, who is the son of Vasudeva, Krishna, is the source of everything that exists in this world. Yeah? Even Lord Narayan, who is addressed as Vasudeva. Yeah? So even his source is Vasudeva, Krishna. In text 28, the qualifications of a devotee to perform determined devotional service is explained. Krishna explains that person who have acted piously in previous life and in this life and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated are freed from dualities of delusion. So how can we free ourselves from this delusion of these confusing things that are there, confusing theories and confusing analogies to understand the Supreme Lord? By rendering devotional service. And immediately one may not be able to put complete faith that how Krishna can be supreme, but by rendering devotional service, O Arjuna, one can understand me completely. He will personally get so many realizations, and also in the association of my devotees, he will be in full knowledge. Yeah? So who can accept this process? Those who live practicing the regulative principles of religion, who have acted piously, and who have conquered sinful actions. Next step will be gradually they can meditate in trance on Supreme Lord. And the best process is this elevation is possible in Krishna consciousness in the association of pure devotees. Second last verse of this chapter is Jara Marana Mokshaya Mamashritya Yatantiye Te Brahma Tadvidu Krishnam Adhyatmam Karma Chakhilam. Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities. So these are the intelligent people who surrender unto the Lord by rendering devotional service, and they get liberated from the cycle of birth, old age, disease, and death. And in the last verse, Krishna explains that those who are in full consciousness of me, who know me as Supreme Lord to be the governing principle of the material manifestation, of the demigods and all methods of sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death. Yeah? So Krishna gives the surety of a person acting in Krishna consciousness. Yeah? So the conclusion is that one should surrender unto the Supreme Lord, try to know Him, render devotional service unto Him in the association of the devotees. So to summarize, chapter 7 begins with Krishna. Actually, it begins from the link comes from chapter 6, where Krishna explains in the last verses that how the Supreme Yogi is one who knows me completely and keeps full faith on the Lord. So then Krishna explains, now here Arjuna, I'm going to share something really a secret in one sense. Yeah. So he begins with the stress that process of hearing. So one should focus on hearing. These 2 years are the entry gate to progress in spiritual life. Yeah. So one should hear from a pure devotee of the Lord. So Krishna explains that knowing Krishna by process of hearing, knowing Krishna as the source of matter and spirit, we understood that how the 24 elements of this whole creation is also coming from Krishna. Not only the 23 elements, but also the pradhana, the modes of material nature are also under Krishna's control. There are 4 kinds of people who accept and reject. The impious never surrender and the pious people do. And there are people who will still continue to surrendering to Devis and Devatas, demigods. And there are people who will think that, that the Lord is impersonal, it is light, you can merge into Him, all this concept. And all this happens, the bewilderment of living entities and freedom by knowing Krishna. If we try to understand the Supreme Lord, they will be able to get rid of birth, old age, disease, death. So the acronym is HEAD, hearing, H for hearing, E for everywhere. Krishna explains so beautifully that He is everywhere. Rasoham apsukoit. I am the taste of water, I am the fragrance of the earth, I am the ability of man, I am the prowess of the powerful, I am the austerities of the yogis. So Krishna explains that He is everywhere, and people who accept and reject, and finally demigods or devis and devatas. This is the most important verse which I wanted to again re-emphasize, that O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. This is the most important verse that comes out in this chapter. And the life lessons that we learn, basically you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with. So choose carefully. And there's a beautiful quote which I came across and I thought I would share. I'll share with all of you. The 2 things that we learn is temptations, how to control them. And we understood that how the temptations, they arise from when we get influenced by 3 modes of material nature. And to overcome this influence, if we simply surrender to the Lord, one can overcome. Yeah. And of course, the association, simply by associating with right people, you can make progress in the right direction to progress in spiritual life. Sorry to go a little overboard. Some questions for sure we can take it, and then we can call it a day. Thank you so much for listening. Hare Krishna. So along with me, we have Mohan Prabhu, who is going to answer the questions also. Mohan Prabhu, you are there?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, just give me 1 second. We're just making him a call.
Okay, so meanwhile, as Mohan Prabhu joins in, I won't be able to answer all the questions, but whatever questions I come across on the chat, randomly I'll pick an answer, and rest of the questions will be answered on our website blog. What was the 24th element? It is pradhana. Pradhana means the three modes of material nature. Why Krishna himself came instead of Vishnu or his avatar, as in Krishna is Vishnu's creator. So the Supreme Lord, sometimes he himself desires to come personally. So that's why he personally comes. Vishnu Tattva, or Vishnu is the super soul of the whole universe. So through him, many incarnations the Supreme Lord takes.
Hare Krishna, I'm back. I'm so sorry, I had a PC issue.
No worries. Mohan Prabhu, yes, you can pick up some questions, Mohan Prabhu. If you
Yeah, there were some I had looked at. So I think a lot of interesting questions. One of the questions there, I think you've just explained about the 24th element. Then also, how can we know we are getting Krishna Bhakti? If we chant his name with determination, do we get Bhakti? Yes. Actually, that's the process, yeah, that you have to follow the process of doing japa. Yeah, and how do you know that you come to know whether you're getting bhakti or not? I think one very simple litmus test to check whether you're getting bhakti or not is to check yourself how much angry you're getting. Yeah. So as your bhakti increases, the amount of anger actually should start reducing. So if in a day you are getting 10 times angry, yeah, every car honk, yeah, which when you're driving, somebody honks a car from you and you get angry. Who's honking? Yeah. So if that kind of anger starts reducing, you know you're kind of progressing. That's one very easy litmus test our acharyas have explained. And that anger starts reducing as your Krishna Bhakti, as your devotion to the Lord starts increasing. Yeah. So that's one easy way to check whether you're getting bhakti or not. Then I think there was one very important point somebody had raised. That is Krishna telling indirectly that people who do not pray to him are not intelligent. Yeah, actually not indirectly, Krishna is telling directly only. Yeah, yeah, he calls them mudha. He doesn't call them not intelligent, he calls them foolish basically. Yeah, because they have got misled. Misled, why? Misled because they, like Prabhuji explained in the 7th chapter, yeah, ichchad and dvesh, yeah, because of their desires, they get misled and they start praying to demigods, and that is where their kind of foolishness starts to show. Actually, yeah, if they pray to the Lord, then automatically they would have got that, but still they feel there's a shortcut and they want to apply that shortcut there. So actually, yes, it's not Krishna telling indirectly. Krishna is telling directly. Actually, that there's a word that he uses. He calls it mudha. They are the ones.
So actually, since Mohan Prabhu has touched upon this topic, actually, and I'm sure many people have this question on the Devis and Devatas of Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Ganesh, and everyone. See, actually, all these demigods, all these Devis and Devas, they are not ordinary personality. They are very, 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 very elevated gods.
Souls.
Yeah. And their presence is mainly to please the Supreme Lord. And Brahma actually explains this in Brahma Samhita. Brahma explains the role of Ganesh, he explains the role of Lord Shiva, even the role of Durga, and many other gods and goddesses. Yeah, so everyone has their roles, duties, and responsibilities in this universe. So no doubt, in fact, in Srimad Bhagavatam also it is explained, Vaishnavanam Yathashambho, yeah, that amongst all the great personalities, great devotees, great Vaishnavas, it is Lord Shiva. Yeah. So an intelligent person, what will he do? He will not go to Lord Shiva and ask for this, I want that. He will not ask for material benefits. He will ask for, please guide me in my spiritual path. So if that is the mood you have to worship the demigods, then no problem. So, but there is a very thin, fine line Because many times, it is more, if you just use little bit more intelligence, you will think that, okay, let me just worship the Supreme Lord who is the source of everything. Yeah? So that's the point where Krishna is explaining. And again, it's a private, confidential conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. Krishna is not trying to boast to the whole world that, hey, look, I am superior, come and surrender to me. No. It is a private conversation with Krishna and Arjuna, which was telecasted by Sanjaya to Dhritarashtra, which eventually in the form of whole Mahabharata was given to Janmejaya. And then through Vyasadeva we got this knowledge. Yeah. But all great scholars, they consider the Bhagavad Gita to be the summum bonum of the all Vedic literatures. Right?
Okay. Fantastic. So I think we can take one. We're already out of time. Let's take this one question which was there from Vandana Mataji. What does Bhakti Yoga really mean? Does it mean to follow all 9 processes of Navavida, or even just by opting one process, one can attain liberation or attain the supreme absolute truth by constantly engaging our mind in Krishna and body in performing worldly duties? Yeah. So you're right. It's not that all 9 are required. Yeah, you take to any one and do it perfectly. That is good enough. That is what the understanding our acharyas give. Yeah, but of course, it's like we always want shortcuts, right? We want help from there, help from there, help from there. So if you do of the 9 processes, some of them, yeah, it's not a problem at all. Yeah, and slowly, you actually start progressing in such a way that they look like then steps that you have followed from this step to next step to next step, and then you reach to the Atma Nivedanam or the full surrender stage. Yeah. So you can look at it more like this Navavida Bhakti, more like a path towards devotional service to the Lord. Yeah. So I think we're almost out of time. Somebody, maybe Harinam Prabhu, we could close the class here and ask for our.
Yes. So really sorry we couldn't answer. I got a little overboard with this chapter. I mean, especially because it was a very important chapter which begins the Bhakti Yoga part of Bhagavad Gita. So I'm sorry that we went little overboard and we had very less time for question and answer. But rest assured, all these questions are been accumulated and will be answered on our website. Right, Prabhuji?
Yeah. So please, definitely, like we said, we've posted our website address, bit.do/essence of Gita. So all the answers are posted to the questions which were there in the first and second sessions. If not, then today we will post them. So that's where our promise towards answering all the questions.
Thank you so much, everyone. And just very quickly, we just wanted to introduce you to Nand Kumar Prabhu, who is I think here with us, and he will be sharing a short description about how Srila Prabhupada, who has given us all this knowledge and access to the spiritual life through his books, he will be explaining a few details.
Natural sound. Hare Krishna. Are you able to hear me? Harinam Prabhu?
Yes, we can hear you.
Dandavat Pranam to everybody else on this August audience. This is a fantastic opportunity. I've been given 5 minutes. I really tried to do justice to that 5 minutes. But hear me out. Prabhupada gave us a form of knowledge which people performed dhyana for thousands of years. And then after the next yuga, they crunched it to 1,000 years of deity worship, and then yajna, and then deity worship. And in Kali Yuga, he gave us the fastest process of Harinam. So I hope with that inspiration from Prabhupada, I will be able to crunch it to super small. Who is this personality? What are we talking about? Srila Prabhupada, the greatest aspect about Srila Prabhupada is the fact that you know ISKCON, but you don't know Srila Prabhupada. Most people, a lot of people know about ISKCON and there's a movement, what they do, but very few people really know who is this person who started it. That's the greatness of Prabhupada, because he didn't project himself. It's not a personality projection. So that's trait one. Let's talk about this person and what he did in a fantastic whirlwind 12 years. First, something that's unimaginable. In 12 years, Srila Prabhupada established 108 temples and farms all over the world. There's no continent that was left. In the same period, he published 42 volumes of books, which consist of 147 books. He slept like 3 hours and woke up in the wee hours of like 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, and then kept translating through the night, kept translating till his last breath. So many wonderful books. More than 10,000 disciples and people that he influenced. Traveled around the world 14 times in 12 years at the age of 70, after having 2 heart attacks as he was coming in a ship towards the United States. Wrote 7,000 letters, spoke 2,200 lectures recorded. There are many which went unrecorded. Published a beautiful monthly magazine called The Back to Godhead. 1,300 interviews and discussions with scientists, politicians, and various people. Taught people how to cook. There are 20 devotional music albums that have been released by Srila Prabhupada, which include bhajans, various bhajans, and apart from that, how to play a harmonium, how to play mridanga. Apart from teaching his disciples the legalities of setting up a temple, buying land, because he was also a pharmacist by his background. So many tips on health and healthy living. Apart from showing them how to administer an organization, put together a revolutionary body called the governing body, which takes decisions for an organization. In fact, way back in 1970 or around that time, 69, Srila Prabhupada established an organization called Spiritual Skyliner, which made more than $1 million turnover. Can you imagine the time? That's the revolutionary person that we are talking about. Still, a person as simple, soft as a child, soft as a rose, hard as a thunderbolt where needed. That's the greatness of the person that we are talking about. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Let me share with you a few main contrasting traits that I see about Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada never, as I mentioned, never promoted personality worship. Many of us, all of us have pictures of Srila Prabhupada in our home. To us, Srila Prabhupada is not God. And Prabhupada himself instituted that very, very clearly. Srila Prabhupada is the servant of God. Every morning, we start with a prayer and saying, Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale. Oh Srila Prabhupada, you are one who is very dear to Krishna. And in the morning prayers, we sing and say that Sakshi, you are, equivalent to Krishna. But for what reason? Because you are completely dedicated to Krishna. Other than Krishna, you have no other thoughts. Kittu Prabhorya Priya Eva Tasya. Other than Krishna, what is dear to you? Therefore, that's a very, very beautiful. We worship Srila Prabhupada as a guru. He never became. Aaj to Bhagwan firte hain gali gali mein. So, it's a contrast that I'm trying to make here. So, Prabhupada would say, I'm not God. This is my, the dog wears a neck chain with probably a pendant. He said, this is the chain. And when Krishna pulls me, I'm ready to move in that direction. I am his dog. This is the beautiful humility that Srila Prabhupada showed. Prabhupada projected and promoted. You just look at what Harinam Prabhu or Mohan Prabhu or all of these speakers that you've been hearing from. These are all people who lived, worked in Dubai in a day and age, and they're speaking such topics that cannot be, if it had not been that they are disciples of Srila Prabhupada's lectures, books. They learned a very beautiful, systematic, scientific style of presentation. And he would challenge irrational science in so many ways. So rationality and spirituality, Srila Prabhupada gave that pride We are not following religion. It's not just dogmatic. It's not just mera pardada ne kiya, mujhe bhi karna hai. That's all. That's important. Preeti. But we need to understand that that's what Srila Prabhupada brought out. So Prabhupada stands for an age-old Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, coming from the Lord himself. But he presented it in a very beautiful current day context where you and me are sitting in places that are not necessarily very favorable to the practice of these things today. It's difficult to imagine. But we are seeing how beautifully he has given us a current day template that is practical for us to use in this day and age. So that's a very, very important point. A very traditional knowledge, but a very current day adaptation of the same. That's the beauty of what Srila Prabhupada gave. So, we've all moved to a particular time and age where the way we live, what Veshbhusha, what we wear, what we speak. I'm giving this class in English as you're hearing. We've all become westernized completely. But the magic of Srila Prabhupada is when he went to the West, first, many of the other Swamijis there recommended to him that, listen, you can't wear all this dhoti and all this stuff. Please move on to a nice suit. It will keep you warm. And a little whiskey once in a way will keep the system going. And maybe meat, a little extra fat will help you. Swamiji will not survive. They did not survive. He survived. He instituted a system of Sankirtan. By doing so, many people invite us Hare Krishnas to do Sankirtan in their homes. They have A-class ACs and perfectly in shape, but believe me, we are truly house warmers. Sankirtan keeps us so warm. Prabhupada didn't need the whiskey, nor do Prabhupada's disciples need the whiskey. So what did Prabhupada do? He so boldly practiced Krishna consciousness that the Westerners started to wear our traditional dresses and practice Krishna consciousness and take to Indian culture. Indian culture has become today a buzzword. The words like Guru, Yoga, Kirtan becoming such a famous thing. If there is any of these things that have happened, credit goes to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada took Jagannath Rath Yatra to the West. Can you imagine what a fantastic feat? And now the Rath Yatra is happening in more than 100 cities all over the world. Many places, much bigger. In Russia, the Rath Yatra is generally having like 300,000 people that attend in Moscow. So like this, there are very, very many great achievements of Srila Prabhupada. Actually, he gave up his home. He gave up his family. He didn't have anything to do, or hardly anything ever to do with his family after that. He didn't fund his family big, none of those things. His family was actually his disciples. His family was the community of the devotees. And therefore, though he left his family, though he left his home, he built a home in which the whole world can live. He gave such beautiful philosophy. Today, there are millions of people who are following Krishna consciousness in some form or the other all over the world. That's the beauty of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada didn't have his own personal bank account, didn't have money for himself. Everything was meant for the organization. It's not that this person suddenly died and then you found 40 crores of gold under his basement or something like that. There's nothing there. There's no money, but there is one great wealth he left for all of us, and that wealth are his books. There are people who just come and touch his books. There's one granddaughter who buys a book and the grandmother reads it and become a devotee, then the whole family. There are millions of stories like this in places like Czechoslovakia and Yugoslavia, various places. There is not one place where Srila Prabhupada's great wealth of his books have not reached. Yeah. Many of us talk about equality. But Madrasi, special, Sindhi, we are so attached to many of these things. Prabhupada never had any of these attachments. Prabhupada looked at his Western disciples or his Indian disciples with totally equipoise. So, it's easy to talk about these things, but to actually show it in practice and make those disciples, not their son, not his son becomes the next, to make those disciples the next gurus of the movement is a great perspective. Kibavit prakibanyasi shudra keno nai. Jai Krishna Tattva Veti, that person who actually knows Krishna Tattva, say Guru Hoy. It's nice to speak this philosophy, but to implement it is not very, very simple. That's another thing. I close with just one or two more comments. Dam maro dam, mit jaye hum, bolo subah sham, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. Devanand Zone, 1970. Famous song. Probably the younger generation doesn't even know this song now. It may not be playing the DJ's favorite songs anymore. But maybe it's somewhere around. But the reality is, the world over, everybody knows there is no Dam Maru Dam, anything to do with Krishna consciousness or the ISKCON that Srila Prabhupada established. And anybody who took to Krishna consciousness, mit jaye kabhi nahi, they become eternal. Why? Because Bolo Subha Shyam Hare Krishna Hare Ram. That has remained 50 years down after Devanand's movie. Even today, Hare Krishna movement and what Srila Prabhupada established is that Bolo Subha Shyam Hare Krishna Hare Ram is all over the world, in so many places, so many temples all over the world. Such a fantastic job that this great personality, out of his kindness, at a day and age when it was impossible to think, when he had no money in hand, when everybody was discouraging him, at 70, he went out of the greatest place, Vrindavan, to be. He left that space to go out to the West and give this Krishna consciousness to everybody free. Hare Krishna. There are beautiful books about Srila Prabhupada. There's one called Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita, which gives a lot of detail. If I have put any of your interest in that, please, if you're interested, please post a comment in the chat, and we'll see to it that we can reach some of these books to you. Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Nand Kumar Prabhu. That was wonderful. Those who don't know Nand Kumar Prabhu is a practicing bhakti yoga for more than 3 decades. Professionally, he is a finance person working for a banking sector. He is well versed in spiritual science. One of the major Prabhu does is he teaches this youth. That's really amazing, this spiritual science he is giving to the youth. Okay, and thank you very much, Nand Kumar Prabhu. Okay, though the time is too short, still you covered very nicely. And now we have few announcements to make. Now Chiran Kumar Prabhu will come over and he will make the few announcements with regards to quiz and question and answers. Over to you, Chiran Kumar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, everyone, and thank you so much for being a part of this course. I know a few of us have already dropped out, but for those who are left and who've been a very, very close part of our course so far, we thank you so much for being part of this amazing journey. There's still a lot more to go. We're still 11 chapters away, but we've already covered a lot of ground. So just to make sure that you're learning, first of all, we want to highlight that we have a very clear question and answer pattern. Of course, we only have 10 minutes at the end of each session, but every single question that we are getting on the chat box has been saved, copy pasted outside, and we're compiling a complete document which will answer all your questions, however simple, however complex. And we're also keeping an eye on the questions that are posted on the website. That is, of course, an easier platform for us to also answer the questions. But please do keep the questions coming. And you would have also heard in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, this power of inquisitiveness is something that actually helps to learn, because only when you ask the right questions will you feel like you've got the right answers. Because if you're not seeking questions, you don't get the right answers. So please do keep asking us questions. So now talking about questions, we've actually put together a very, very interesting aspect for everyone, which is some Kahoot quizzes. This is not your typical Kahoot quiz, which we'll get everyone to do together. This Kahoot quiz is an offline quiz that we can share the link with you and everyone can do it at their own time. The idea of this quiz is not to test you as such, but the idea is for you to try to refresh and recover some of the different aspects we've covered so far in this course. We will be posting the link of these Kahoot quizzes to you via email, possibly by tomorrow when we post our email updates. And so please do keep in touch with them. We'll also put it on our WhatsApp and Telegram groups so you can have a touch on them. And I will copy paste it in the chat for those who want to access it immediately. Saying that, the last point I want to make is our social channels. We are trying to reach out to you and we are trying to communicate about updates on the daily course, update on these quizzes, which you'll only find on some of these chat messages. So please make sure you're getting our emails. Please make sure you're part of our WhatsApp or Telegram groups, because these are the channels that we're able to interact with you. Because we have such a large number of students, this is the easiest way we can get in touch with you. So please do interact with us. We'd be happy to hear from you. Even if you want to message any of us personally, we'd be happy to hear from you and discuss any aspects that you want to know further. So please do access our social channels. Please make sure that the email that you're getting is not in your spam or junk folder. Please move it into your inbox. So saying that, the last point I want to announce is we are very excited to be able to announce that we will be announcing about some further courses that we're going to launch immediately after these Bhagavad Gita courses. And so these will be exclusive, first offered to the students who are attending this Essence of Gita course. So if you're part of the Essence of Gita course, I'm sure this is giving you a pedestal to learn more further about the path of bhakti, about different aspects of bhakti, maybe about Ramayana, Mahabharata, and different subject matters that will really interest you. So please keep tuned in, bring some family, bring some friends along with you, and be a part of our Gita course. Thank you so much. That's all from me for today. Good night. Jagwan Prabhu, back to you.
Yeah, Shantru, can you we have published 2 quizzes.
Yes.
Can you put it in the
I will
chat
put it on
box?
the
Yeah.
Yes.
Please, sorry, we have taken you a lot of time today, but it's worth. There Jagan Prabhu has worked with a wonderful quiz, and Sham Prabhu has already published in the group. Please participate, and also we have quiz 2 also. Sham Prabhu.
Yeah, I'm posting both of them.
Yeah. So then also we are publishing Q&A in our website.
Yeah.
Yeah, please subscribe to our channel. And we already covered today's shloka, and Harinam Prabhu himself has covered today's shloka. Okay. Once again, thank you very much, Harinam Anand Prabhu, Nand Kumar Prabhu, Mohan Das Prabhu, Chiran Kumar, and thank you all for joining. And tomorrow we look forward to see you all at the same time with more. Thank you. Hare Krishna.